Fatherhood, being a daddy, is one of God's highest callings for men. It's the place where He calls men to grow up and become examples of courage, commitment, and sacrifice. Talk to any juvenile delinquent counselor or law enforcement officer. Visit with any prison chaplain or your local high school teacher, and you will find that humanity is paying a staggering price because of the lack of fathers. Countless studies show the negative effects of a child growing up without a daddy. 90% of all homeless and runaway youth, and 85% of all children that exhibit behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. The probability of substance abuse, poverty, and ending up in prison is doubled in youth with absent fathers. Research is proving that a child desperately needs a daddy. And while so many men personally know the deep hurt and confusion of growing up without a father, or the devastation of being wounded by the man who should have loved them the most, why is it that so many fathers wait? Wait until a tragedy happens, an illness or accident, to take their responsibility seriously. So, against culture and in spite of the indifference and irresponsibility around me, I have purposed to choose differently. I have asked God through His Word to show me how to become the man He wants me to be. I now believe that God desires for every father to courageously step up and do what it takes to be involved in the lives of his children. More than just providing for them. He's to walk with them and be a visual representation of the character of God, our Father in heaven. A father is called to love his children and to seek to win their hearts. It is his privilege to protect them, discipline them, and teach them about God, to model how to walk with integrity and treat others with respect. One of his most sacred duties is to call out his children to become responsible men and women who live their lives for what matters in eternity. Some will hear this and ignore it or mock it. But I tell you, you are accountable to God for the position of influence that He has given you. You cannot fall asleep at the wheel only to wake up one day and realize that your job or your hobbies have no eternal value, but the souls of your children do. Others will hear this and agree with it, but lack the resolve to live it out. Instead, they will live for themselves and waste the opportunity to leave a godly legacy for the next generation. But I have purposed that regardless of the mistakes I have made in the past, regardless of what my father did or didn't do, I will give the strength of my arm and the rest of my days to loving God with all that I am. And if I ever have children, to teach them to do the same. In my heart, the decision has already been made. You don't have to ask who will guide my home, because by God's grace, I will. You don't have to ask who would teach my son to follow Christ, because I will. Who will accept the responsibility of providing for and protecting my family? I will. Who will ask God to break the chain of destructive patterns in my family's history? I will. Who will pray for and bless my children to boldly pursue whatever it is that God calls them to do? I will be their father. I will. I will accept my responsibilities, and it will be my privilege and greatest honor to embrace it, for I want the blessing of God on my life. I am inviting any of you whose hearts are willing and courageous to join me in this resolution. Young man with your future ahead of you, fathers who fear the Lord, will you join me in this purpose? It is time for us to rise up and answer the call of God. Despite the sacrifice, to say with courage and commitment, I will, I will. As for me and my house, I will serve the Lord God.